Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. It's another beautiful day here in Pittsburgh. It's going to be October in maybe a couple hours. How many days are in September? I can't remember. But it's going to be October in less than a week, and it's like 80 degrees and sunny out. So summer's hanging on for dear life, which is fine by me. I mean, I take all the seasons. I love every single one of them. I love the winter, spring, summer, and I love the fall too. So whatever it gives us, as long as it's not rain. We needed rain and we got a little bit, so take a break from the rain for now and enjoy the nice weather because I guarantee in a couple weeks it's gonna go all downhill fast. So soak up the sun while we can. Thanks for watching today. I wanted to get a show out today because there's an old phrase: the natives are getting restless, and they are getting restless. All 12 of the people that like to watch my show reached out to me. It says no show this week because I didn't manage to get out a show last week, and I apologize. But how good that makes me feel that people were noticing, hey, where's the show? There's supposed to be a show here. Where's the show? What's going on? That's an awesome feeling that not that people are depending on you, but you're in people's routines. So that feels good. So I thank every single one of you that's been asking and begging me to get a show out. So here we go. Last Tuesday I tried to put one out, and literally 5 minutes before I was going to start the show, a recruiter from a job reached out to me and I got something set up with them. And if you've been watching the show, you know I've been looking for work for about a month now. Visit previous episodes if you want to recap. But I've been out of a job and I've been looking and looking and looking. And then last Tuesday, right before I was putting out a show, a recruiter reached out to me and I got an interview, and we're really close this time. So this might work out. Everything's sort of lining up with this job. So we're gonna ride it out and see what happens. Fingers crossed. Maybe Monday morning I'm going into work. That'd be so awesome. Get back to work, and I don't mind being stuck around the house. It's been a nice break, and I've been able to sort of get a lot done and some cleaning. Not as much as I wanted to. A lot of projects still need done. But it's been great to just have a little month off and focus on your mental health for a little bit. And I think I've talked about it in previous episodes, I am diabetic, just recently diagnosed as diabetic. So managing that has been not difficult, but strange, because monitoring your glucose isn't always the easiest thing. You could make all the changes to your diet you want, and you still get high glucose numbers. It's a process, but I've been getting a lot better with it. But a lot of it was stress-related diabetes. I'm sure that's a thing. That's what my doctors have been telling me, that stress causes diabetes sometimes, or it doesn't cause it, but it doesn't exactly help it. So this last month off has been tremendous for me, getting my numbers under control. So I'm very grateful for that, and I'm back in a spot now where I can put on the work boots once again and get back to work. So I think if this job works out, Monday morning we'll be setting the alarm. So I'm excited. It's a great job. More pay than my previous job, more benefits, and I know some people at the place I applied for. It's a wonderful company. There's money to be made, so hopefully we'll get in there and do the best I can, like I always do. So that was Tuesday, and then moved to Friday. I was trying to get a show out to everybody on Friday, and I wasn't in a good mood Friday. I just wasn't vibing. The creative juices weren't there. We're human beings. Sometimes, for no reason at all, we just wake up and we're not in a good mood. That's how we're wired. And you can do everything you can. You can drink as much coffee as you want. Sometimes you should just call it a day and say, I'm not in a good mood. But I tried to do the show that day. And it was going okay. I wasn't in the best of moods. But I eventually was 22 minutes in and looked, and I didn't press the record button. So well, that's a wrap. We're just going to call it a day with that. Let's try not focus on it and let it ruin your day. I just put everything away, shut down the studio up here, and I did some reading for a little while, and then I went and picked the wife up from work. So sometimes just walk away. If you're not having a good day and you know it's not going to get any better, don't make it worse for yourself, and don't try and aggravate yourself anymore. Just chop it up to a loss and Remember, tomorrow's always a new day. You can always start fresh. So now we're back here on Tuesday again, and we're ready to get a show out. So let's get to it. Let's. It's going to be just top 10 random today. Blu-rays today. Blu-rays and DVDs, a mix. No video games today. So without further ado, let's start with the collectible this week. So this is a shiny little action figure that I found. There's a wonderful little store called Dollar Tree. And this was about maybe a year ago that I always try and buy something because my wife loves Dollar Tree. She loves shopping there and finding all the little funny things she can find for, I think she calls it $1 plus a quarter tree now because they raise their prices. Dollar Tree is not vibing with the economy. They raise their prices. But this little guy, I always like to find something when I go in with her, and it's some sort of space alien. And it was $1.25 with tax, so for less than $2, I got this cool little space alien action figure. It is from the brand of toys called Final Faction. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Final Faction at all. What the faction is and why it is so final, I'm not sure. But it's cool. It's cool to see this, and if you look at the back here, there's a lot of information. I'm sure you can't read that too close without your cheaters on. I can't read that at all. Maybe a little kid can read it better. But there's a QR code right here. And it says scan to watch the Final Faction cartoon. So there's a whole, and I looked this up, it's legit. There's a whole cartoon series for a toy from Dollar Tree. So this little alien, and I guess all his other little friends, there's tons of action figures with this Final Faction. And his name is General Diabol, which is cool. And it lists his stats, his strength, his speed, his agility. For $1, $1.25. So that warms my heart knowing that there might be families out there who can't afford full-size G.I. Joes or whatever the popular toy is these days, RC cars or something. But you could buy these action figures for $1.25 each, and there's a cartoon that goes along with it. So if you have a kid, you let them watch the cartoon on YouTube because I think that's where it's at. Oh, they have an Instagram too. Final Faction Instagram. So if you are a parent to a young boy or daughter and they like toys, but you can't always afford the most expensive toys, Dollar Tree's got this cool action figure line. And I know if I was a kid, I did, my mom would take me to Dollar Tree and Family Dollar, and if I could find an affordable action figure, she'd get it for me. Sometimes it's the littlest things that could bring you the most joy. I know I would have loved to have seen an action figure with a cartoon tied to it. That really wasn't as easy back when I was a kid. There was no YouTube, but obviously now, and it's for ages 3 and up. So might be a nice little present for a kid. If you stop by Dollar Tree on your way home from work, want to get something for your child, that might be a good idea. And I'm going to hang on to it, and I'm never going to open it. It's a $1.25 action figure from Dollar Tree. So I'll keep it in its case. But that's always my goal when I go somewhere with my wife, is try and find something, even the littlest thing I can get for myself is like a little souvenir. Never know what cool stuff you might find. So we're going to get started with the top 10 today. All right. Now this one is going to be very opinionated for me. I have my thoughts on it. I know it's a fan favorite. Not the sequel, but I know this one is a fan favorite. So this is Joker. It came out in late 2019. October 2019. So we're probably coming up on the anniversary. All right. So I'm going to divide this little mini review into two sort of thoughts. My thoughts on the subject matter of the film and my thoughts on the film itself, how it was shot. So, starting with the subject matter of the film, I went to see this in theaters when it came out back in 2019. There was a lot of hype around it, obviously because it's a superhero. You call it a super villain movie, I guess. It wasn't a bad film. I enjoyed it. I went with some friends, and I think somebody in the parking lot was passing out some of the wacky tobacco. So the film was very interesting for all of us, if you get what I'm saying. But not a bad film. Now, this is just my opinion on the subject matter. Uh, I don't necessarily approve of the subject matter. I understand it's a movie and you have to sort of separate film from reality. This film though, it really struck a nerve with me because if you know what the plot is, it's the origin story of the Joker and how he came to be. And it kind of took the twist of he was sort of an autistic gentleman with some mental issues and just down on his luck in life and decided to go nuts. And at the end, he was glorified for it. And and this is just my opinion, I am not a fan of that kind of audience that attracts. And there's someone very close to me who holds this film in very high regard, like it's gospel, because which is the term people use, incel. It's got incel vibes. It's a lonely guy who decides to take up arms and take his revenge on people and do what he thinks is right according to his mental state. And I totally understand it's a movie, but I didn't vibe with that whole plot, and especially when you kind of related it to a superhero character like the Joker. And I get that's what the Joker was. He was nuts. That's his shtick. But this one really hit home because I do happen to know a lot of people with mental illness who glorify this film. And again, that's I don't think that's what we need. That's my opinion. And I get it. I love Michael Myers and all kinds of horror movies and stuff. But this one kind of had a different approach to its audience. And especially, there was some stuff, and I remember it clear as day back in 2012 when The Dark Knight Rises came out, and there was that awful incident in Colorado. So I'm not going to say they piggybacked off that, but it kind of seemed like it. You're kind of glorifying that, and just my opinion, I'm not okay with that, but we'll put that aside. Those are just my personal thoughts. You can think about the movie whatever you want, but I didn't approve of sort of its messaging. Once again, I understand, just a movie. Other than that, it was shot amazing, and the cast was incredible. Joaquin Phoenix, you can't say enough about him. He's kind of an oddball guy, but Suchuan, he's a terrific actor. And it came out in this. Robert De Niro played a part in it. I'm not sure there were too many other big actors. Again, it was a weird experience because it was supposed to be a DC film related to superheroes and such. But the subject matter, I just thought it didn't mesh well. But the iconic scenes, definitely, where he's coming down the steps. I could probably show you right on the back. It was great to see that. So there are some positive things about this movie that stand out. And the sequel, I did unfortunately see the sequel in theaters, and that didn't do so well. And I'll try and put this into sort of my perspective. It didn't do so well because you didn't market it to the same audience that you marketed the first one to. And what I mean by that is these lonely people who decide one day to do something terrible, they're not into musicals. So you I guess it's good, I guess it's bad, but you lost half your audience when you said this is going to be a musical. But maybe that was the goal, to kind of get away from sort of a violent sort of mentality, especially, this is current topics, is people going out in public being violent. I think we need less of that. I'm not going to blame movies for that because you never know what's going on in people's minds. But I certainly don't think it helps. And it doesn't help when you try and mesh reality with this sort of glorified criminal attitude. I've said enough. We'll just move on from that for now. But okay, my thoughts on the movie, I'm completely down the middle on. I'll give it, if I had to rate it out of 10, 5 out of 10. Because it was shot tremendously. It was very artsy. And the acting was incredible. There was good special effects too, because it was really gory. And on the downside, I didn't really approve of the messaging in the film. And to close it out, I just don't think it needed to be linked to the DC universe. I think it could have been a standalone film on its own. It didn't have to do anything with the Joker. But regardless, it's the way they went with it. And those are my thoughts. I spent a lot of time on this one. But okay, so back to the main point of this program. Here is the case from the front, case from the back. Special features. I'll read them off to you. The digital movie, I do have a digital copy. I don't know if I redeemed that or not, because it's not a film I want to watch all the time, because it is sort of disturbing on a realistic sort of level. And I get it. That comes from me, who watches nothing but horror movies. But I'm not particularly a fan of movies that get so close to reality. And this one kind of did. Special features, the making of, behind the scenes, look at the creation of the film, alternate takes, costume tests, and more. Costume, yeah, he was in a good Joker costume. His whole outfit, his hair, it was kind of a poor man's Joker, and I thought that fit the role very well. So the costumes were very well done. I'll pop it open. We can take a look at the discs. This is our digital copy. Okay, and nothing too crazy going on with the discs here. Just sort of black on black. DVD and Blu-ray. There you go. 2019's Joker. And we'll move on from that one. If you disagree with my thoughts about that film, by all means, please leave a comment. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I just gave mine. Let's move on. The movie of Life, actually just called Life. When exactly did this come out? It's a sci-fi alien movie, sort of like Alien, the standard for sci-fi alien movies. Let me get a date. 2017 this came out. And it's your run-of-the-mill sort of sci-fi movie. I think the strongest thing about this film is the cast. You've got Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. Those two on the screen together, do the math. You've got something. Now, did it work in this particular film? I'll say it did. I'm not the biggest Ryan Reynolds fan. I do like Jake Gyllenhaal, and Jake Gyllenhaal's best performance, he should have won an Academy Award for it, is Bubble Boy. Very underrated film. All his other Brokeback Mountain, Nightcrawler, that's secondary. Bubble Boy is his number one movie. You can argue that all you want, but it's true. So Life is about a space crew, and the movie starts off right away. They find an alien and they bring it in the ship. And you could basically figure out the entire movie based on that. What's going to happen? We bring a strange alien life form on the ship. Do the math. So chaos ensues, and I won't spoil anything. I thought the ending was a good ending, but it was a sad ending. And I won't spoil anything else, but it has a true Hollywood ending, as I think they'd say, it's not all happy, joy, but I'll let you watch for yourself. Good special effects, obviously, because it's a sci-fi alien movie, and it's newer. So yeah, it's mostly CGI, a little bit of practical effects in there. And what I remember too, the space station was really well done. Very detailed sort of space station that they're on. If you're gonna watch the movie for anything, just watch it all the way through and catch the ending. It is awesome, and I thought the soundtrack was great too. Some really, really sad scores near the end that I thought hit home very well. Life. Take a look at the back. So your special features include some deleted scenes, claustrophobic terror, creating a thriller in space, life in zero G. Oh, so a little documentary about zero gravity. That'd be interesting. The art and reality of Calvin. Astronaut Diaries. Calvin. I believe that's what they named the alien. His name's Calvin. They couldn't come up with anything better, I guess. I'll pop it open and show you what's going on inside. Now this came with a digital copy, which is right there. I have redeemed that already. Don't try and steal my code. You could try, but it won't work. It's already in my YouTube. The Movie of Life. Okay, you got a pretty cool Blu-ray disc there. It's got some art on it. Always appreciate the artwork on the Blu-ray discs. Life. And this is another one. I'll always admit this. I didn't sit down and have a very careful, analyzed viewing of this. I got a 6-pack and rented it. Or I bought it. I bought it. You can find really good prices for Blu-rays on Amazon. So I maybe paid $7 for this. And then the beer maybe cost $7 or $8. So it's like the price of going to the movies. Except you're in the comfort of your own home. You can eat all the food you want, and the bathroom's close, and you can pause it. That's how I feel, but moving on. Wolfman. I believe 2009. I believe this came out. Wolfman 2009. Let me double check that. I'm not seeing an exact release date. The Blu-ray, this Blu-ray came out in 2017, I think. This version of the Blu-ray. Okay, this was a cool movie. A remake of the Wolfman, the classic Universal monster movie. This was put out by Universal as well. I thought this was a pretty cool movie for a werewolf movie. I don't think the critics liked it as much. I'm into any monster movie. If you've been watching, you know that. And this had a good cast with it. Basic werewolf movie plot. People are getting bit. People are disappearing. When the full moon comes, yada yada. You know what happens. Not like an actual remake of the Wolfman put out back in the day. Sort of a new style, new twist put on it. It's still pretty good. And you've got Benicio del Toro, Anthony Hopkins, and Mary Poppins. For the life of me. Emily Blunt. Yes, and she's incredible too. A good actress. Sorry. This movie, okay, a lot of CGI. I don't remember if there were many practical effects. I don't believe there were. I think it was a lot of CGI, which they did an excellent job on the CGI. There's a pretty awesome werewolf fight at the end. And it's pretty dope. Even for a CGI fight, I thought they did really well. And I always sort of compare these timepieces, these current day ones that come out like this, like Wolfman, reminds me of Titanic. Just kind of that setting that's in the past, and they put a lot of sort of effort into the setting, into the extras, into the technology of the time. I always appreciate that, and this one did a really good job with it. If I had to, out of 10, give it a 6. 6 out of 10. It wasn't amazing, but it was still good. A nice popcorn flick on a Saturday night or Friday night after you've been working all week. Really takes the edge off. Special features. 2 alternate endings. I have not watched either one of those, so I don't know. So there's 2 other ways the movie ends. I'll have to check those out and watch them again. Or for the first time. Deleted and extended scenes. Return of the Wolfman. The Beastmaker. Transformation Secrets. The Wolfman Unleashed. So it's got a lot of featurettes and documentaries in there. So I'd have to find my receipt, but I think I paid $7 for this. Couldn't have been more than $7. And you get a lot of value with it. That's kind of the thing when you're buying Blu-rays and DVDs. What are you going to get along with the Blu-ray DVD? You're going to get a booklet. You're going to get a making-of documentary. You're going to get audio commentaries. You want to take that stuff into consideration. I will open it up and we'll take a look inside. I don't think this came with any sort of digital copy. Nothing in the book. Just the Wolfman basic disc. Pretty cool movie. All right. Next, Disturbia, classic Shia LaBeouf movie from 2007, maybe? Can make sure I'm right about that. 2007. All right, now I'll give this movie credit because it came out when I was 2007. I was like a teenager, a young teenager. So you couldn't always get into rated R movies. We snuck in all the time. You buy a ticket for Care Bears or whatever, and then go to the bathroom and then walk into whatever bloodbath movie you wanted to see that you couldn't get into. So it was tough for me and my buddies to get into the theater sometimes because we were into horror movies and they were all rated R. But this one came out, and I don't think we saw this in theaters, but I always appreciated that it was PG-13 because it's a pretty nail-biting thriller movie with a scary sort of subject. Shia LaBeouf's a young guy, and I think he's on house arrest, maybe. I think he's still a teenager, and he sees the neighbors up to no good and murdering folks. Shia LaBeouf does what Shia LaBeouf does best, and makes it his business. And it's not rare that you get a movie sort of like that with a PG-13 rating. So I guarantee a lot of sort of preteens were able to get in and enjoy this film and have a good time. So props on them for making it PG-13. I think they might have had to, just because Shia LaBeouf was a kid star back then. So you couldn't really put him in a rated R movie. I mean, you could. I don't think it would have worked very well. But a good marketing ploy on their part. You got Shia LaBeouf, tone the movie down to PG-13 so you can get some of the youngins in there buying popcorn and spending money on candy and drinks. Good thinking. So the movie is okay, I'd say. It's your run-of-the-mill thriller film. The best part about it is Shia LaBeouf, because this is when I'd say around the Transformers era, when he was sort of coming out of his cute little kid phase, and now he's a real smart mouth sort of a-hole. And he kind of took that role and made it into reality from what I've seen lately. I think he's leveled off, though, as a lot of child stars have over the past couple of years. They're sort of getting a second chance and finding their footing and trying to do things the right way. I think he is. I'm not keeping up with him, so he could still be batshit insane for all I know. But I always remember him as from the Transformers era. He was cool. He was cool for a while because he was just all attitude, and he was fresh on the scene, and he was doing movies with Megan Fox and such, and growing facial hair. So he was kind of a sort of a North Star for us young men to look at. But then he went nuts. And I don't know what he's doing now. I hope he's doing amazing. But Disturbia, cool movie for the time. A nice PG-13 thriller film. And I did rewatch this when I bought the Blu-ray a couple years ago. And had plenty of beer along with it. And that helped get through it. Again, it's sort of a preteen thriller film. So take it as that. Not bad at all. I can't remember the ending too much. I think I had so much to drink. But that's okay. That can happen. Let's take a peek at the back. Special features. Commentary by the director and cast members. So commentary with Shia LaBeouf. So if you are a big fan of his and want his in-depth thoughts on this film, it's there for you. The making of, Serial Pursuit trivia, outtakes and bloopers, and a music video. Photo gallery, theatrical trailer. So you get some pretty cool stuff with this. And I couldn't have paid more than $5 for this. This is another one I found on Amazon for a good price. Take a look at the disc. And there we go. Peeping Tom Shia LaBeouf with his binoculars. That's part of the movie. He spies on his neighbors because he's bored. Cool movie. 3 out of 10. Since I'm doing out of 10 ratings today. 3 out of 10. Okay. Now this I've talked about sort of a little bit. The Avengers. This is a standard Avengers DVD. I don't remember where I got this. I did not obtain this legally. I believe I swiped it from somebody's basement. I don't think I swiped it. I think somebody just wasn't interested in their collection of DVDs anymore, and said, "I'll take these off your hands," and they gave them to me. So it was given to me. It was a gift. We'll say that. But I do have a Blu-ray copy of this film too. So, but I also have this standard DVD copy. I'm sure dozens of releases for this film have come out, and this is the OG Avengers from 2012. I saw this in theaters twice. So the first night I saw it, we saw it on opening night. We went down to the theater. I think it was a 10 o'clock showing because everything up to that point was sold out. Loved it from start to finish. It was so awesome. And it kind of, I think for a lot of people, it kind of rejuvenated my love for Marvel. Because I had watched all the Spider-Mans and I had watched all the Iron Mans up to that point, the 2 Iron Man films. And I really didn't watch Thor or Captain America. But when I saw this, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going back and watching those because this shit is getting real now. And there's going to be more of these movies. There was no way this was going to be a flop. Just look at all the star power they have in this thing. And I'm glad it took off the way it did. Awesome film from start to finish. Action and suspense, tears, sorrow, sadness. It was all in there. This film had it all. Even the villains. This is when I fell in love with Loki for the first time. One of the coolest villains in Marvel, in my opinion. And it just elevated this entire franchise. I could talk about Marvel all day, but we're going to talk about the DVD a little more. Oh, and I saw it in theaters again on a date, believe it or not. One of the most awkward dates I was ever on because this young lady didn't like to laugh or have fun at anything. So going to see the Avengers, she kind of sat there with a stone face the whole time, and I don't know. I had already seen it, so I was enjoying it the second time, but she wasn't vibing with it. And I'm like, all right, maybe this relationship doesn't go much further. And I got back that night, and she's like, okay, you want to do another date? And I'm like, I don't know, that one didn't go so well. But okay, we'll drop that. But let's just say if you're a person who goes to the Avengers and just sits there, no laughing, no cheering, no happiness whatsoever, I really don't want anything to do with you. But everybody's different. All right. So this is, like I said, standard edition of the DVD. And there's only 2 features with this film that come on this disc. And it is a short documentary and an audio commentary with the directors. And then you just have the basic movie. So this is just a standard, regular Avengers DVD. Not a collector's edition. As a collector, I believe everything's a collector's edition. And then just a basic DVD. The Avengers. That's one of those movies I'll never forget seeing in theaters because I expected it to be kind of long and boring. Not at all. Amazing film. I loved it from start to finish. Now I want to rewatch it. Okay. Moving on. Robert Zombie's 31. I've been a fan of Rob Zombie movies for a long time. I remember the first one I watched was probably at the ripe young age of 13 was The Devil's Rejects. That was the first Rob Zombie movie I ever watched. I hadn't seen House of a Thousand Corpses before that. Devil's Rejects was really, I didn't expect that. That was, especially when I hadn't seen House of a Thousand Corpses, kind of went in blind as to what was going on in that film. But then he started releasing Rob Zombie's Halloween, which was pretty cool. Then Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, which was not cool. And then he did Lords of Salem, which I love that one too. I'll talk about that on the show one of these days as well. Lords of Salem, good sort of witchcraft, trippy witchcraft movie. But this is 31, and 31 is about, and I believe it takes place in the 70s. It's about a like a sort of a traveling circus group. I believe they're performers for the circus or the fair, and they stumble upon. Or they don't even stumble. They get abducted and put into this little sort of battle royale sort of thing. But they're not fighting against each other. There's like evil clowns and little people that are running around with knives and crossbows and doing violent things. And I thought it was it stands out for Rob Zombie because there's a little more to it than just gore and swearing and sexual content. There was a cool story behind this one, and the characters, I thought, had a little more development too than a basic Rob Zombie movie. Buckets of blood, yeah, definitely. Good special effects, and at its core, it is still a Rob Zombie film. But there's a villain in this film, I won't spoil, who's just so cold and dark, and he's got a smile on his face the whole time, and he kind of made the film for me. And he's one, I talked about character development a second ago. They I think intentionally developed everybody else's characters, but then they had this guy, this villain, who they sort of didn't say anything about this guy, but he was just, everybody knew who he was, and he was infamous. And I love a character where you don't need to say anything about their backstory to get that they're a badass. That's what they do. So his character was awesome, but I won't go further just to avoid spoilers. But a good sort of middle-of-the-road Rob Zombie flick. If you're not looking for a whole lot of gore, and at the same time you're not looking for a whole lot of psychedelic, I think 31's a good middle ground that might be able to ease someone into the Rob Zombie territory. I'm a fan of his movies too, so I'm not going to diss any of them, but some of them are hits and some of them are misses. But I think this one was just what it needed to be at the point in his career when he put it out. I think it came out 2016, 2017. I could be wrong about that. But those are my thoughts on it. We'll talk about some of the features. I did redeem the digital copy for this one. Special features. In Hell, Everybody Loves Popcorn, the making of 31. Audio commentary with writer and director Rob Zombie. So if you want his in-depth thoughts on the film, it's on this disc. Rob Zombie's 31. Cool soundtrack, too. They bring a lot of... Because the movie takes place, I believe, in the late 70s, so they bring in a lot of sort of nostalgic hits from the time. It's our digital copy that's already redeemed. And here's the disc. And if you can see right here on the disc, this is the guy I was talking about. This sort of mysterious main villain in this film. You don't know a whole lot about him, but he kicks ass and he gets the job done. So if anything stood out in the film to me, it would be the soundtrack and that character, who I believe his real name is Richard Brake. And I've seen him a lot. I believe he was in Barbarian. He's an awesome actor. So I'm definitely interested in anything else he's in, which I'm sure there's more. I just haven't seen a whole lot of it. 31, and that's cool artwork for the disc. Again, Rob Zombie film, not for kids. Okay, well, this is an old one. I'm excited for this one. Sorry for the squeaky chair today. So this, hold it up. You might be able to read it. You don't get to making 1 million friends without making a few enemies. So this was the DVD for The Social Network from 2010. I believe that came out late 2010. I love this movie. I love The Social Network movie, and I bought this DVD probably a couple months after it came out. So this DVD is from 2011. Old. And as you can see on the slipcover there, it's a little beat up because I've had it for so long. The Social Network movie was about the birth of Facebook and how it got started at Harvard and the drama that ensued. It's a dramatization, so I don't think it's a word for word biography of what exactly happened. But between Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo, who was his partner, and there was some bad blood between the two because some bad contracts were made and signed, and people lost money, and that ends friendships. So this movie was really well shot. I believe it was by David Fincher, who Fight Club. If I'm wrong, correct me. You can sound off in the comments, but I believe he did Fight Club. And I've always loved this movie because I instantly wanted to see this movie when I saw the trailer because I was a huge Jesse Eisenberg fan. I still am, but to me, he's another one. Who was I talking about before that sort of branched off into different roles? Shia LaBeouf, maybe. This is. I like Jesse Eisenberg because he was this shrimpy little guy with a smart mouth, and he was always in comedy movies. Zombieland, Adventureland. He's in a ton of stuff. I always considered him the better alternative to Michael Cera, and I stand by that. But I love anything he's in. I don't really watch his drama movies very much. I enjoy his sort of comedic timing. He's very witty and very fast. So I'm sure he's an amazing dramatic actor, which he kind of was in this. But in this, I saw him as that shrimpy guy from Zombieland and Adventureland, he was a computer nerd making Facebook. So I loved the movie because I was a big fan of him. I'm not a big fan of Mark Zuckerberg in general. I think he's got his problems, but he did make Facebook. So I thought the movie was great. The strongest part of the movie, besides Jesse Eisenberg, was the score. I thought the score was amazing, and I believe some of the guys from Nine Inch Nails helped do the score for this film. So that says all you need to know. I did see it in theaters with a friend of mine when it came out, and like I said, it was PG-13, so we were able to go in and see it. I don't think I was 18 yet. I think I was still 17. I can't remember what the age was to get into the theaters, but I wanted to see this in theaters, and I did. And then I got real pumped because it got nominated for a lot of Academy Awards, and movies I liked back then did not get nominated for anything. So it was awesome. And I picked up the DVD, and I've had it ever since. And the DVD is really cool. There's a lot of artwork on it. And this is old DVD. Had it for over 10 years now. And this is just, pictures from the film. Oh, and great cast. Great cast. You had Justin Timberlake, and then Andrew Garfield, Brenda Song, I think that's her name. She's married to the Home Alone kid. Everybody did an amazing job, and I'm surprised the movie didn't get more awards than it did. As you can see, it's just one is a DVD, and the other. This doesn't list the bonus features on it, so I can't go into depth on those, but there's obviously a ton because there's a whole disc for them. So you've got the theatrical release, and then the bonus disc, which I'm sure is full of all kinds of documentaries on how it's made and some Facebook information. Cool movie. As far as dramas go, I'm not a huge drama movie guy, but like I said, Jesse Eisenberg, something about him, any movie he's in, I can sort of get behind, as long as it's got sort of a action or comedy sort of vibe behind it. And I get it. You want to branch out as an actor and do different things, so that's totally on him. But I prefer his more sort of entertaining roles. What's the movie where he's a pizza delivery guy and he robs a bank? I forget what that's called. Like I said, both Zombieland movies I thought were great. And I watched one that my wife hated last year called Vivarium, which is a horror film with Jesse Eisenberg. Look that one up. It is creepy. Not well liked, but I loved it. All right, speaking of more horror movies, The Black Phone. Collector's Edition. So this is a newer horror movie franchise that's getting on its feet lately. This movie's about 2 years old now. So the Black Phone is about some kids that keep getting abducted by this creepy gentleman in a mask here, and he eventually abducts a young man, and this boy is locked in the basement, and then all of the sort of ghosts. I'm getting into spoiler territory here, but if you don't want any spoilers on this, just don't listen. But all of the ghosts from that this gentleman killed, the children that he's killed, sort of help this boy that's still alive escape captivity here. So it's sort of a supernatural sort of slasher movie, and what I'll say about it is a lot of Stranger Things vibes. A lot of the characters are sort of ripped off from Stranger Things, in my opinion. Now this is a cool movie regardless. These are really cool special effects, and I think it's rated R, even though it is sort of like a kids movie, and I hate to call it a kids movie because it is a horror film, but it's got, like I said, it's sort of a Stranger Things setup where the kids are sort of the real heroes and everything. I've only given this one watch. One Friday night, I was thirsty, had some beer, popped this in, enjoyed it for the most part. It is a film that I think is capitalizing on its time. That's my opinion. Just with all the, the characters from Stranger Things, and some of them, the characters in this movie are just straight carbon copies of those characters, and you can see that, which is fine. If that worked, it worked. You got to sell tickets. You got to make money. I believe it's based off of a short story. Joe Hill, maybe? I think that's one of Stephen King's writers or sons or something, somebody that writes with him. I can't be sure on that. But it was put out by Blumhouse, and as you know, Blumhouse, Universal, they put out Get Out and the Jordan Peele movies and the Halloween reboots and Creepshow. So Blumhouse is good. This wasn't an awful movie, don't get me wrong. It just, I think it's going to need another movie or two to get its traction, and I believe Black Phone 2 comes out this month. I think that's why I picked this, because I'll definitely check out Black Phone 2, but I'm probably going to want to rewatch Black Phone 1 first. Ethan Hawke is your main bad guy. Ethan Hawke's awesome. So watch it for him if you're not watching for anything else. Okay. All right. A modern horror classic. Special features. Deleted scenes, answering the call behind the scenes of Black Phone. Ethan Hawke's evil turn. Feature commentary, I'm assuming by the directors. It doesn't say. Okay, you get a lot of features with this. I don't think I've redeemed this yet. Just because I wasn't totally impressed for it, so I don't know. Like I said, I might watch it again just to freshen up before I go in for the sequel. Good bit of features, though. There's our digital code. I'm not going to wave that up because I haven't redeemed this real fast, and I don't need anybody taking my digital copy. But it is a Blu-ray and DVD combo. As you can see right there. A lot of red. Pretty cool. And I believe this is one if I got this off, I can't remember if I picked this up at Walmart or if I got it off Amazon. I think I might have just got it off Amazon. It might have been $14. Pretty cool either way. I'm hoping the sequel is a little more original. Like I said, I think a lot of sort of elements and sort of atmospheric stuff for that movie was ripped from Stranger Things, which everybody gets inspiration from somewhere, so I won't sort of sneeze at that. Okay. Next up, Last Voyage of the Demeter. This was awesome. I really love this movie. This kind of goes back to what I said about the Wolfman, which is It's a movie set in a period of time. So this is late 1800s or early 1900s, I think it took place, about a ship that is transporting Dracula's. Well, I don't even think they know if it's Dracula or not yet, but there's a vampire. They put a vampire on the boat. They don't know what it is. Vampire wakes up. What do you think happens? It's an awesome vampire movie. And again, I'll just say, because of the setting and sort of the accents of the characters and the language of the characters, that's what stood out to me for this film the most. It's a timepiece. Like I said before, with Wolfman or with Titanic, it knows what era it's in. And I love films that do that. And although the money that goes into the costumes and the settings and this takes place on a big ship. So, and my other favorite thing about this film was the vampire was you don't get more traditional vampire than this. It was a Nosferatu looking mofo, bald head, the beady eyes, the big teeth. He looked like a creature, and that's what a vampire is supposed to look like, not like a sparkling emo boy. That's not what you want in a vampire movie. Unless it's Bela Lugosi, you can excuse him. But a classic-looking Nosferatu vampire, humanoid-looking guy with the pointy ears and the teeth. He even spoke a little bit, which I thought was cool. I won't spoil more of the plot, but it's a vampire movie that takes place on a big wooden ship in the 1800s, and it is awesome. Good special effects, practical and CGI. The vampire was mostly CGI, but I'm okay with that. I believe DreamWorks put this out. My opinion on DreamWorks, and this is another movie I'm a fan of, DreamWorks does very well putting out sort of timepiece movies that take place in other times. I've always appreciated that about them. There's a lot of companies that do it, but I think DreamWorks in particular does an excellent job of combining the score of the movie and the setting of the movie. And they just knocked it out of the park again with this one. And this is a collector's edition of Last Voyage of the Demeter, Blu-ray, DVD, digital code. Let's go to the special features on the back. Deleted scenes with an alternate opening. I haven't checked out any of these bonus features either. Commentary with director Andre Overdahl and producer Bradley Fisher. From the Pits of Hell, Dracula Reimagined. Evil is aboard, the making of The Last Voyage of the Demeter, and more. And I had a party with this one, man. Definitely, it was a Friday night watch. I think the wife went to bed. I was looking for something to do. Got a little thirsty, went in the fridge for some beers, and I had a vampire movie that takes place on a pirate ship. I'm in. That's all it takes. Don't tease me with a good time. But I'll take the slipcover off. It's the same on this side with the slipcover off. I'll take that digital copy out. I've definitely redeemed that, so it is in my YouTube for future viewing. Last Voyage of the Demeter. You can see, sorry about the reflection, but there's your discs. One DVD and one Blu-ray. I watch all these Blu-rays on my laptop. I have a portable Blu-ray drive, which you can get for like probably $50 these days, and they're pretty awesome. If you don't want to watch something on the big screen, you just want to watch it on your laptop. Portable Blu-ray drive. I could show that one time during the show. I'll remember to pop it up on screen. Okay. Last one today. Until next time. Assault on Precinct 13. Now, do not confuse this with the Assault on Precinct 13 from the early 2000s, because this is not that. This is the original Assault on Precinct 13 from the mid-70s. One of my favorite John Carpenter movies. They're all my favorite. I say, you know what? I should stop saying that. It's an excellent John Carpenter movie. And one of his first. He only had one film before this. I believe this is his second film. And my oh my, was it incredible. And sort of like an Escape from New York vibe. If you are familiar with Escape from New York, you kind of know the direction this one's going in. So, a basic summarization of the plot: there's a police station closing down, and a rival gang of the police station has had enough. So, one night, the local Los Angeles gang decides to blitz this old police station, and there's only a handful of people inside who can protect the place, and half of them are prisoners. So what do they have to do? Let the prisoners out of their cells and give them a gun and say, "We need your help. The enemy of my enemy is my friend." So that's I love when movies can do that. When you sort of take the bad guys and you take them and the good guys and pit them against an even more bad guy. I love films that do that. And like I said, that's sort of what Escape from New York does a little bit. And you can see that Carpenter was sort of testing the waters with that in this one. From Dusk Till Dawn kind of vibes too. I always appreciate stuff like that where they can have a sort of a twist with the plot. It's not really a major plot twist, but it's like, oh, okay, I see where they're going. The enemy of the enemy is my friend. That always works in movies for me. So, low budget too. This was a low budget production because, like I said, it was one of Carpenter's first films. And I ate it up with the spoon the first time I saw it. I watched it right when the pandemic started. I know I'm a huge John Carpenter fan, but I was always behind on this one just because I never got around to watching it. But I put it in back in 2020, and it's awesome movie from start to finish. It's entertaining. The characters are so like sort of noir, and their style it's really like sleek. Everybody's real smooth in this film, like in a lot of Carpenter's films. What else can I say about it? The soundtrack is incredible. The main theme for this film, I have like 5 different versions of it on my Spotify just because it's ominous, but at the same time it gets you pumped for something. So if you want a good piece of music listen to, go on YouTube and look up John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13 main theme. It's just crazy the emotions his music can invoke. But you'll have to check it out for yourself if you're interested in that. But the strongest points of the film were definitely the score for me, and then sort of the like I said, the sort of plot subject, the enemy is my friend. It'll go down as one of my favorite Carpenter films. I keep saying that. I love them all. I don't have a bad John Carpenter film that I can think of. So, but this is one of his that is underrated, and it's one of his very early ones, and I don't think it gets enough recognition these days. And believe it or not, this is the only copy of this film that I have. I have a copy I obtained through non-lawful ways on a website, but that's saved on a hard drive somewhere. But this, for a physical copy, I do have Assault on Precinct 13, the new special edition. So I don't know when this came out. I found this at a flea market back in the early spring of this year out in Ohio, in Hocking Hills, Ohio. There's a lot of antique stores out there. So if you're ever in that area and you're not too interested in hiking the Hocking Hills, check out some of the antique stores. They have a lot of cool stuff, and there's plenty of them. I think there's at least a dozen. Well, let's take a look at the back. Some artwork up there. Let's see what the special features say. New anamorphic Animorphs. Remember that show? Kids turning into animals. New anamorphic high-definition digital film transfer in the original Panavision aspect ratio. Interview with John Carpenter and Austin Stoker. Austin Stoker plays the main character, and I believe he passed away in the past year. So rest in peace to you, Austin. You did an incredible job in this film, and you will be missed. Radio spots? Oh, I'd love to hear that. Some authentic radio spots from the 70s for a John Carpenter movie. Original theatrical trailer. And John Carpenter's isolated score. So there's a version of the score that you can just pop in the DV and listen to. You don't even have to download it or anything like it or buy it anywhere. Awesome film from start to finish. If you're a John Carpenter fan, you have not seen this, and this is not The early 2000s Assault on Precinct 13. That movie's good too, and I will talk about it on someday because I do have the Blu-ray. But this one's where it's at. OG. And very quickly, this is an old DVD too. I'm not sure how old this is. Like I said, I just found it in the spring. Assault on Precinct 13. Sort of an orange sort of disc. Thank you so much, guys. We have done another 10 from the collection. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm going to keep doing this. I feel great when I do it, and I feel great when I get all your feedback, too. So, any comments at all? I know I said some things about Joker that people might not agree with. Please leave a comment. The more people can engage with the YouTube channel, the better. I think it's awesome, and I think that's what it's for. So, if you made it all the way to the end with me today, I appreciate you listening. Say a prayer for me. Hopefully I get this job and we can get out of the house. I think it's going to happen. We're so close. We're just waiting on the call back. But everything else is taken care of and we're ready to go with that. And guys, thank you so much for watching again. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and happy Monday. And I hope the rest of the week is amazing for you guys. And I'll do my best to be back Friday with another show. Remember to be kind to each other. Take care.